Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, Eric. How are you?
Doing fantastic. We are finally getting some late spring, early summer weather. It is beautiful here in the Northeast.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was just mentioning to you guys before we came on, I spent the weekend with my grandchildren. We went to pass them off down in Bridgeport today, and I left the house still with blue jeans on. I got down there, it was 80 degrees, and I was sweating like crazy down there in the Zoom. It's great stuff. Summertime is almost here.
Yes, it's nice to be outside, enjoy yourself. And now we have this week a special guest. Our guest today is Darrell Stern, who, for those of you of a certain age, will remember Schoolhouse Rock. And he was actually a child actor at the time doing one of the voices on Schoolhouse Rock. So, Darrell, welcome.
Glad to be here. This is going to be super fun.
I certainly hope so. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, since you started with Schoolhouse Rock, I went to the Vern Fowler School of Dance there in Island, Colonia, New Jersey. A lot of us young kids started to get agents or managers in New York City. So one of the other older girls, her name was Karen Pajak. She got a Levi's commercial, and my dad, he knew a lady from his college. He taught philosophy at Kane University for 30 years. So he knew the lady that was designing the playbills for an off Broadway play in New York, so called The Desperate Hours. And then I went and auditioned and I did, got the part. And then I had an agent or a manager, I should say, named Marianne Leone from Terrific Talent. And I got signed with them. And then basically what happened is I'm in grade school. My parents get the call, hey, your son's got an audition, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever PM. Get picked up from junior high, and then we're racing from Edison, New Jersey, up to exit 14A, into the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel. We go into New York. So then my dad would drive around the block, and I would run upstairs and nail it and do the audition and all that. So Scooter Computer this was 1983. People don't realize that before there could be an internet, which was really 93, which was when they commercialized the internet. We got AOL and dial-up. But for 10 years before that, we started to adopt this new appliance in our home called a computer. So if millions of people hadn't done that, there would not have been an internet as we know it today. So the little cartoon introduced 12 million kids two computers, and of course the kids go to their mom and dad, go buy a computer. And if you remember back in the day, it was like $2,000 for an Apple IIe that had 64K, not even 1 megabyte. You can imagine.
No, I remember it well.
Yeah, so I would tinker around with the computers. We'll stop there. I'll just do the intro, but that is still on. Disney eventually bought Schoolhouse Rock. They just did the 50th anniversary of it because it started in 73, 74. So I'm on Disney Plus singing to kids when I was 11 years old as Scooter Computer from Schoolhouse Rock.
Fantastic. So tell our listeners a little bit about what you're doing now.
So fast forward, I won the National Young Playwrights Festival in 89. I was doing stand-up comedy 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week in New York, New Jersey in the 90s. It was really hot then, a lot of the clubs and all that. But then all of a sudden I decided to adult. I also realized and noticed that I missed that Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio look. Now, if you look closely, you can Google my pictures if you're listening to this podcast. It's DARRELLSTERN. You'll see that I missed that Brad Pitt look by some people say there's a 1.3% resemblance. You see it. You look closely, or Leonardo DiCaprio. So I got this floppy disk when I got a master's in communications. Well, here, let me say. So the theater stuff kind of didn't pan out, in terms of work. So my mom goes, you're going to go to graduate school. You're going to get a master's of communication, and you're going to go into television. Right. And this was really the last decade of the great sitcom, Friends, Jerry Seinfeld, all that's the 90s, right? This was really the last decade of television before, of course, then the internet, YouTube came out in 2005, right? Streaming video. So in 1997, I got a little floppy disk at CompUSA, right? This is the old computer store
Yep.
that said HTML, learn how to make a website. So I got a job at a company called SyncSort. They were the first company to have a patent on computer software. And I was working in their marketing department. And one of the things that I could do very well is I could explain what the marketing people needed to the IT people, and then go back and explain to the marketing people what the IT people said, and allow the two to communicate. But we were arguing back then over whether the website should be 640 by 480 or 800 by 600 pixels wide. This is 2000, right? So I helped them with their very first webinar, the very first HTML MIME email. That means that the email could come through as text, or HTML is a thing you can code and all that. But at the same time, I got a little article on PHP MySQL, which is the background language and database for things like WordPress today, dynamic content. So I read 8 pages of it. I made my first business was Your Music Online. So I'll tell you a funny story, because this is back in 97. This is back at the beginning. And I call the guy in Virginia who's going to host my website. He says, that's a long domain name. yourmusiconline.com. Everybody was saying online back then. And now people don't need to say that because we're all online 24 hours a day, right? But back then it was a marketable thing. So he says to me, you should talk to my other client, Jeff. He's selling books out of his garage. He's going to call it Amazon. And I hung up the phone. I said, Amazon, that's a rainforest. That's a dumb name for a bookstore. I'm not kidding. All right. So fast forward. The dot-com boom was very unethical. Advertising agencies from New York City now shifted over into this internet. Were coming with a printout. Those sheets of paper that are like 5 feet tall on a roll, and they can pull it out. They're coming in with their site map, like the map of the website and all the pages, and basically a lot of BS. If you know business consulting, it's, flash them with lots of goodies, right? And lots of big charts. So I thought all this was unethical. They wanted like $250,000. And I looked at it and said, all I need is these 6 graphics for the header and the footer. I'm doing it in Dreamweaver. I didn't even know, I wasn't even doing the database stuff then. And the Dreamweaver templates, which then rewrite the HTML if you change the template, blah, blah, blah. And you just upload the whole website, static HTML it's called, So I redid the whole website, and they were so amazed. I got a lot of raises. At the same time, my mom got ovarian cancer in 98. The age that I am now, she got cancer, and then she passed away 4 years later. And that is when I quit and decided to make my own ethical website design business in 2002. You want me to keep going, or you want to do that for chapter 1? Because that brings you up to start of my business.
It's a great story. And I mean, everything that you've done, the technology, the acting, it's all revolves around communications and, to a certain point, your personal ethics. So
100%. So here's the thing that this is one thing that I want to tell people. That thing that you did when you were a kid, maybe you were a singer, maybe you did the hula hoops, whatever. You threw that away, right? You decided to be an adult, sit in a cubicle, whatever, doctor, lawyer, scientist, whatever you are today. Go back into your toolbox in the attic, right? And pull out that stuff. Because what's happened is now with the dawn of video and the dawn of another generation, actually 2 generations, right? Because there were the millennials, and now they're the Gen Z, and now they're having babies. So we're actually like kind of 3 generations, 40 years from Scooter Computer, right? 4 decades from 64K to trillion gigawatts, as they would say in Back to the Future, right? So I see people starting to make videos, and these people making videos are not actors, they're business people, and they have no clue what they're doing. And the funny thing is, because it's the internet, people thought, oh, well, this is a new thing, it's on the internet. And none of these business people decided to go take an acting lesson, a comedy lesson, a public speaking training, an improv comedy lesson, a playwriting lesson, or anything like that. They just picked up their phones, click go live, And I don't know if I can, yeah, obviously this isn't a video, but they go like this. Hi, is this thing on? Is the sound on?
Right.
Hi, yeah.
And the
And I'm
camera
going,
would
this,
be the camera would be missing their
well, they're
head.
doing the
They'd be off
zoom. They're doing
center.
the zoom like this. I hate this. Everybody's
Th-
publishing it like this. The zoom is like this. You can see all the roof.
right.
You don't understand camera angles.
Right. You see
So
the top of their head and nothing else. Yeah.
exactly. So inadvertently, I had a client named Tanya Waring. Tanya Waring wrote the ad for My Pillow. If you know the story of that guy, he was a crack
Yep.
addict and then turned around and invented a pillow. So she was on QVC. She has a book out on manifesting. You know, you got to manifest things in your life. So I start to do a process where I'm writing the scripts for these emotionally driven landing pages in 90 seconds that'll get people to buy. And as I'm working with her, I start to practice with her and I tell her, look at the camera here. And when you say this word, I want you to slow down. And then I want you to look back right at the camera lens and say this word like this. And she goes, that's fantastic. I need a theater director for my marketing. And I said, I haven't done theater directing in 35 years. Then I was working on another guy named Jeff Hunter, and I wrote a blog. I listened to him. I got to know him. And I started writing a blog, and he's watching me write it on Google Drive, you know, sharing the screen. And he goes, how are you doing that? That's me. Like, you're right. Like, that's how I talk. And I said, well, I'm an actor. I can listen to someone's behavior and then act as that person. So it started to come together. Then I'll tell you the big story next. But what the moral of this whole podcast is going to be is when I found my home using the God-given talents that I've been doing since I was 3 years old, because when I was 3 years old, I went over to my dad and I said, Dad, get out a pad and a piece of paper. He was a Jew. And he said, what? But, you know, I said, Dad, do it. And I dictated to him my entire one-man show starring me as Peter Rabbit. I dictated the stage direction, the bunny hop, you know, stage left, stage right. He was so amazed by this. He took me to his college, set up the bleachers, and I put on my own one-man show that I wrote, produced, and directed myself at age 3. I now use that as my, you know, talk. And people hire me because I say, why did you hire me? Because there's no internet in 1974. But they say, you've been doing this since you were 3 years old. So it's more about the character in your life and where it goes into. Now we're going to veer into social media and the rest in a second, but it's more about the character and where you come from and your depth and your stories from your life that are what you're using now to quote unquote market yourself than it is the old style, you know, come on down to Macy's, 20% off, you know, kind of thing that we're used to. Okay. So, so now I meet this auto mechanic. The auto mechanic wants to be the #1 auto mechanic in the state of Colorado. He's 26. He's born in 89. So I guess that's kind of a millennial, right? That's the end of the millennials, whatever.
No, millennials
So,
are younger, I think. But
well, no, I thought they were older. I thought millennials started in the 80s, in 83. I call that post Return of the Jedi. I date everybody based on Star Wars. Are they pre-77? That's pre-New Hope. Are they 1980? Are they Empire Strikes Back? Or are they post-Jedi, which I call 1983? If you're post-Jedi, that's all. That's how I date people, because I'm a Star Wars nerd. Do or do not. There is no try. Okay. So the auto mechanic wants to be the #1 auto mechanic in the state of Colorado. I said, all right, let's do it. Now, I've been doing blogging, SEO, all this stuff since long before there even was a Google. We're talking about from 2000 on. Actually, in 1999, I had a job too, but I've been doing the whole thing, and I've been observing how this all works, how the internet works, the philosophy of us putting our knowledge out into this gigantic interwoven library of knowledge that then someone else can search for, right?
yeah.
And I said, look, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to reverse engineer all of that to make this kid a millionaire. So I made him a website with not 1 or 2 or 3, but literally 60 landing pages, one for each and every type of car that there is that you can drive. So he's got a separate page for Rolls-Royce, Maserati, Honda, Toyota, Tesla, whatever. So I call those situational avatars. So tell me, I'm going to look at the screen now. Chip, unmute for a second. tell me one of the things that you slay at, that you're really good at in business at. Like, tell me a problem that you solve.
Strategic planning, organization, basically simplifying things instead of taking a look at all the different things that can happen, getting into the present moment. And
Got it. Now, when we go stern storming, we're going to get very much more specific about that, because are we talking about running a gas station, or are we talking about running the whole oil company? Do you know what I mean? Like in that and in your own life, you've done work in a specific area or industry with that, or it came from your own life or your parents or something like that. So we'll get more specific like that. But let's go with, let's say it's for strategic and organized in terms of running your oil company. Let's just say something for the point of the example. So that is the spoke in the wheel, what you slay at, right? What you're gifted at, what your natural born gifts at. That's the spoke of the wheel, but the bicycle doesn't work just with the spoke in the wheel. You have to have all these wires in a circumference around a circle, all coming into that central point, right? That's how it works. So what I do is we go out and we go, okay, if they don't know you, and they don't know what you're about, and they don't know, anything about you, they know they have a problem, right? So if you're the solution, then what's the problem? So I write emotional dramatic scripts that say, are you frustrated? Because for years, your oil rigs have been behind the bar and the productivity just isn't up. And whenever you ask for a report, no one seems to have it, and you have to go digging, and it's a mess. Do you hope and wish that you could run a more organized system so you can get the numbers faster, make the adjustments faster, so you could sell your oil at a higher price? What if Chip could come along and make your oil rig more organized? Okay, that's the basic script for it. So each one is a separate landing page with different situations around the oil company's issues, right? Because when you say more strategic and more organized, in your financing, in your invoicing, in your delivery, in your, you know what I mean, subcategories again, breaking all this down into such specific subcategories and things. But I'm literally going to make a category, a separate landing page for each situation. Everybody understanding this so far? Yes?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
good. Marketing is two things: giving people hope and then proving that you can do it. Every action you take in marketing, which is the starting meaningful conversations, that's what marketing is, starting meaningful conversations. Another way to define marketing is meet more people, period. So marketing is. Okay. So I now had to prove that this kid knows how to fix cars. We got to show the world that he can fix cars. Fortunately, over the last 20 years, we've been giving these tools that are free. Set up a YouTube channel, free. Set up a LinkedIn profile, free. Get a Facebook page, free. I mean, it's nuts how many free things we can do, that if we learn the tools and how to optimize them and what they're really for, and the modality of communication that we need to put into them, we can soar in business. So I went down to a shop. I started videoing him over and over and over again, demonstrating how he's fixing the cars. Now, the reason why I emphasize demonstrating is he doesn't get on there and say, hey, I'm Saul. I'm a trustworthy guy. I grew up with cars. I like cars, so you can trust me. I really love fixing cars. Come down and call this number. It's not what he does. He goes, this is a Bentley, and we're going to go under the hood right now, and I'm going to show you how it works and how I'm going to take it all engine apart and put it back together. Like, he does it. So most people online have a flimsy little trifold brochure website. Still today, even though inbound marketing came out in about 2010 with the invention of something called HubSpot, they started to change it. There's an excellent book called Unmarketing, et cetera, et cetera. So here's his 3-page Vistaprint website. I make 60 pages. Now I'm going to record all these videos. I'm going to take those videos, hyper optimize them on YouTube, and also transcribe them. Inside of all the things that he's saying is his jargon: single plane brakes, dual plane brakes, Maserati, carburetor. You get it. He's speaking all of his keywords. Okay, if you know about anything about SEO, you'll know where I'm going now. So in the back of a book, there's an old-fashioned thing called books. I think you guys might remember it.
I do
It
remember.
was made out of wood products, and they somehow flattened the wood into these flat sheets, papyrus or something, and they make these things called books, and you can hold them in your hand. You don't even have to charge it. It's really, really cool. So anyway, that's funny. You don't have to plug it in. All right. So in the back of the book, there's an index, right? So Chip has wrote the book on how to organize and run your oil rig better than anyone else. This is his book, right? Because he slays it at that particular industry, getting them more organized, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to warn you again, you have to get really specific, right? But I'm talking about really specific about the situations that you can help people with and all that. Okay. So because he has a landing page that says, I fix Maserati, I fix Rolls Royce. Here's a good one. I fix Rolls Royce, right? And then we do 6 videos on it. Google owns YouTube, so they'll put the video in the search results. Haha. And then I have the blogs, the articles written based on it. That's even 3, 4, 5. Now all of a sudden, it's pushing that landing page to the top. But not only that, if you search Rolls Royce repair in Greenwood Village, Colorado, he comes up number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on Google. We shot everybody out of town. We put them out of business, shut them off. Got it? Because I understood how to look at this holistically and how these two things work together. So he starts to get at first all the luxury cars. He started with me about $50,000 a month. He's going up to 80, 120,000. He buys 2 more lifts. He gets some more mechanics. He's doing good. The business is growing. But I want him to go viral. Now, before I tell you that story, do you guys have any questions about what I've gone over so far? Because the next thing is really going to blow you away.
Chip, anything?
No, sounds crystal clear to me.
Awesome. A lot of people say, when I talk about this stuff, they say, that makes sense. And I go, phew, thank God it's Monday, because that's my make sense day. Other days of the week, I don't make any sense. We're filming this on Monday, the 28th of 2024. Okay. So, did you know the other day was 4/24/24?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're one of those spiritual people, you were in Sedona, like praying to some moon star or something. So anyway, I want him to go viral. Usually viral videos are, well, I'll explain it. I'll go back to an old TV commercial. There was an old TV commercial for Vidal Sassoon. Remember Vidal Sassoon?
Yes,
And they
I
had a
do.
pretty girl, and she would say, she'll tell her friends, and it goes to 2 people. And then it goes, and so on 4, and so on 8, and so on 32, 64, whatever. And that was really an example of how viral works. It's such a good story that I could click a button and go, yeah, Bob, you got to look at it. Check out this story. Check out this joke or whatever. It's so funny. Okay. So most people are like Curious George with their marketing. They're doing random acts of marketing. They're making this content. They're talking to themselves about themselves. There's no eye contact. They're rambling through their stuff. They're not pausing. They don't do anything, like that. Their videos are all shot wrong. And they're like Curious George. If you remember, he folded the paper into the little sailboat and he put it in the lake and go, wherever it ends up, God knows. That's how most people are doing their marketing. Whereas I said this, I'm going to figure out a viral problem, meaning that the problem is already viral. So I looked around, what kind of cars and trucks do people drive in Denver? It was either Subaru or Jeep. But I already know Subarus have a great reputation. You don't hear much about broken Subarus, but Jeep is another story. Jeep has an engineering flaw in their suspension geometry called the death wobble. And what happens is the wheels are going straight, and then all of a sudden it wobbles. They literally come off like slanted on their axis. They start wobbling. And if you're on an icy road in Colorado up in the mountains, you can go off the road and die. Hence, Jeep death wobble. So go Google that. Go put that into your YouTube search. There's a video at the top with, drum roll please, 5 million views. There's another video with 475,000 views. Another video with 80,000 views. The problem is viral. What does that mean? That means a lot of people are typing into Google and typing into YouTube, fix my Jeep death wobble, right? Got it? That means that a lot of people typed it in. That's why it has lots of views. So I said to the kid, because none of those mechanics were in Denver. Here's another thing. My phone knows where I am right now. If I type in Chinese restaurant, I'm going to get Chinese restaurants in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm not going to get Chinese restaurants where you two live. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Got it. In YouTube, there is a setting that says, where was this video filmed or recorded? So we can tag it with Denver. So we're going to skew the results for everyone who's geographically logged in, because Google knows where we are at all times. Apple, iPhone does too, right? towards Denver, and we're going to make a video of him explaining this Jeep death wobble. So I put out this video in July of 2016. It's now 2017. He pings me on Facebook and he says, that video's made me $20,000 already. And we were pumping out these videos so fast, I really didn't think to go back and check it, but I looked at it and it had 15,000 views so far. To date, to find this video, you type in Saul, S-A-U-L, Jeep death wobble into, YouTube. You'll find this video. It now has 199,000 views, 212 comments. The comments are everything from, my God, this is the greatest example of this I've ever seen. Everyone in every Jeep dealership in America should watch this video. I wish you guys were in Montana. Like literally. So there's a little kid on a dirt road trying to solve a very big problem. Got it? He's a little local business, 26, 27 years old, but he's going to try and solve a global big problem. So he made, drum roll please, $7.9 million from that video.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Okay. I made the kid a millionaire before he's 30 years old. Now, people then say, the younger people too, they say, wow, like YouTube paid you all that money. No.
No.
I'm not doing this to get famous or get likes or any of this, I'll say it out loud, BS of the internet and Instagram followers and all this BS, which everyone's just buying them now. They're all fake. I'm doing it so that your customer who has the pain you can solve what you slay at, Chip, right? Comes to you and says, oh my God, you're the best in the business within a 500-mile radius. Fix my Jeep. So the average repair is about $5,000. Now, the next people say is, well, how did this kid fix all those cars? He didn't. Investors came along. They let him take over Auto Tech. He went from a little industrial road, dirt road, shitty place in Englewood to Main Street, USA, right off the 25. Auto Tech has been around since '89. It has a football field sized auto mechanic shop. He went from 5 lifts to 25 lifts. I had to help him hire another 20 mechanics. So he's making $5,000 times 25 every 2 hours.
Fantastic. And that's, I want to touch on something because you've been going on, and we're almost out of time already. But you just hit something that's so important, and that's using metrics that matter. Facebook likes don't matter. Instagram follows don't matter.
Well, hold on. So we're old. So we don't understand this. When Elvis shook his hips, right, the first time, the police came to arrest him because they thought he had the devil in his pants. So these kids that are forming global economies, trading Bitcoins, amassing a following of people that will all pay them $1, and they've got 2 million people. They just made a 9-year-old made $1 million using affiliate marketing and Instagram.
Right, but
let's not say anything doesn't matter. That's not the point.
Well, the point. But what you just said is the key. The followers don't matter. It's the followers that want to pay and become your customers that matter. It's the ones that are going to support you financially that matter. So
100%.
So right. So the followers, the likes, all of this are not the end goal. They're the means to the goal.
That's it. So you got to title this episode "Old Men Trying to Explain Instagram." That's what it's called. So correct. So after that COVID hit, I started making online courses. The first one I did was for a lady that cured her own cancer. That sold 6,558 copies. $12 million were there. And then the biggest project I ever did was OsteoStrong, where I flew around to 42 of their centers. They're a biohack franchise. We put out 1 video a day, 7 days a week on 5 different social media platforms. They raised $100 million, opening 200 more centers. So the point of it is you are a gift to the world. The world needs your gifts. What you can teach, know, and demonstrate that you may take for granted, other people are going to be amazed by. And the more that you share your story and share your gifts, the more your life will expand. Your network is your net worth. Meet more people and tell them your story. Stop pitching and selling and promoting and start just being yourself and starting meaningful conversations with people that then can lead to vendor partnerships, new clients, influencers, whatever. And that's the point of it. But when I found theater again, and I get to sit in the director's chair for 2 days with someone and shoot 200 videos of them, and I can direct them through that emotional experience and get them to nail these videos and open up and cry and laugh and all these things, I know when I film those which ones are going to be viral. And it changes the shape of your business. Because all of a sudden you have stuff that is endearing, and that's the end of the show. Good night.
All right, so that actually did go very quickly, and we are at the end of our time. So before we sign off, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, if they're interested in Stern Marketing, how can they find you?
Yeah, the first is LinkedIn, DarrellStern. Look for the profile that has 15,000 followers. The other thing is my website is at stern.marketing. So that is no .com, no .anything else, no .net, just .marketing. So if you go to stern.marketing, you see all the testimonials and all the different things. And there's an audition button there, which when you fill that out and schedule an appointment with me, you can audition to work with the fastest moving, emotionally driven video content marketing agency, which is mine.
Fantastic. Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway this week?
I'm sorry for talking so much. This has just been amazing. I mean, in going through everything that I saw with you, philosophy, you are a gift to the world. The world needs your gifts. That's what you just said. The first, marketing is theater. You talked about the emotional experience, and everybody needs to get that out there. And then marketing is the art of starting meaningful conversations, which is basically getting right to the problem where you want to solve it and so on and so forth. And then your next three, the one that you said you love this one, to market what you do. You must tell people what you do, and you must tell them over and over and over again in hundreds and thousands, if not thousands of different creative ways. And you explained today exactly how that works. So congrats.
Yeah.
Wonderful half an hour. So it's
the secret to digital marketing is on the bottom of your shampoo bottle. It says rinse and repeat. Have a schedule, stick to it. Now there's two things to that. There is consistency and persistence. Consistency is having the routine and doing it. Persistence is the will to keep doing it while no one's paying attention. Got it? And watch it gradually build up. Setting long-range goals in your business is how to make it really grow. We are trying to place an ad and get a sale. And where's our next client? And let's get it today. Where that thinking leads to a 30-day, you know this in business, right? It leads to a 30-day, financial plan. I'm good for this month. Well, that's not growth. You got to have an overarching plan of how one day this podcast will be the #1 success podcast in the world. And how do we rinse and repeat our process of, this is what you should do too. Get the entire transcription of the entire whole episode, put it on your website into your blogs, then look for the common keywords and start linking them together. You will kick everyone's butt out of town for what this podcast is about. No one does that. No one does the whole thing. They're doing 20 to 30% of what all these tools offer, and that's where they're falling short.
And I think that right there is a big takeaway for our listeners, is that you need to put in the work. You need to reach people emotionally, communicate with them, tell your stories. We've talked about a lot of this stuff over the past several months, even about how important that communication is. And I think, Darrell, you summed it up beautifully and gave our listeners a lot to think about. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.